Welcome to the Community Services portion of Paso Talks. Tonight we share our department's vision for creating and maintaining social infrastructure, those good places and rewarding experiences that bring people together and create positive interaction among our residents. When I think about social infrastructure and how it's affected my life, I recall some 34 years ago when I moved to Paso Robles with my 2-month-old daughter, and I knew no one. And it was the first time I was not a student or was working and had an immediate network of people around me. So I would put that little baby in a stroller, and every afternoon I would walk around the streets of Paso Robles. One afternoon I found myself in City Park, and there was a flyer waving in the wind on a bulletin board advertising a group for young mothers with little babies, imagine that. And that group met at Sherwood Park. So the next day, Sherwood Park it was for me. And after going to some of these weekly meetings and meeting other mothers, all of a sudden I started to feel a part of this community. That's what social infrastructure is all about. Some years later, working in the library, and we had the horrible earthquake in 2003. Lots of books off the shelves. It was just a mess in the library. So the next day I went to work thinking, boy, where do we even begin? Didn't expect the large group of volunteers that had gathered outside the doors, waiting to help us put that library back together. Literally and figuratively starting to put our community back together. Social infrastructure. So at a time when civility is a most precious commodity, a strong social infrastructure of libraries, playgrounds, and parks is more important than ever. And yes, it is fitting that we end our series with community services, as the work that we do relates to just about every other department in the city. And just going down the list of topics that we've covered over the last few weeks, we can see growth. What does community services have to do with growth? Well, we make sure we're sitting at the table when we start talking about the Beechwood development, for example. Making sure that we are preparing to expand the library, perhaps, or add more playing fields to our community to keep up with a growing population. So yes, we are interested in growth and we're contributing to it. Safety. Our maintenance crew is out there keeping our facilities and parks clean and safe every single day. That's safety. We're teaching children how to swim. We have activities at our library study center that encourage children to take part in positive activities in the after-school hours, hopefully minimizing the chances of gang involvement because kids have things to do, positive things to do. It's estimated that 85% of juvenile offenders have problems reading. So clearly it's crucial that we're offering such literacy programs as story time in our library and catching these children when they're literally infants and giving them, again, positive things to do, teaching them how to read and increasing their self-confidence. Yes, that contributes to safety. Water. We certainly need to be efficient in the way that we take care of the landscaping in our community. The way that we water the fields out at Barney Schwartz Park, for example, will be one of the first to use recycled water in our community in watering Barney Schwartz Park. Tourism. Tourism flourishes with our supportive events, concerts in the park, Pioneer Day, the Wine Festival. City staff is providing support and sometimes completely organizing these events that attract tourists and serve residents alike. And we are very good stewards of city finances, I can tell you that. We generate revenue through our facilities reservations and recreation classes. We work with nonprofit support groups like the Rec Foundation, the Library Foundation, and the Friends of the Library, and that augments our budget beyond the general fund. We have significant volunteerism in our department, and in fact, I see so many volunteers in the audience right now. Could you just wave your hand if you volunteer either in recreation or the library or graffiti removal? I think they deserve a hand, honestly. we have garnered millions of dollars for our department. One good example is the Uptown Family Park. $2.5 million in state grant funds went into building that park. So yes, city finances, we have something to say about that. So in our effort to determine what the community really does need and want in their social infrastructure, in their library, in their parks, in their recreation programs, we use several tools. We paid very close attention to the recent citizen survey that indicated there were community satisfaction rates of between 75 to 85% for our recreation programs, parks, and the library. C+, B-, we want to do better, and we will. We listen carefully to citizen input when creating a 5-year library strategic plan and also a facilities master plan for library expansion. And at the city's 2018 goal-setting workshop, we were gratified to have community members and city council set the bar high for our department. They've challenged us to, and I quote, provide robust community services to residents and visitors that ensure a desirable quality of life. Our community and our council vowed to allocate resources necessary to, and I'm quoting again, support, attract, and expand recreational, cultural, and educational opportunities for all. That's what we do. We incorporate this kind of input with modern city planning principles that support the creation of gathering spaces like libraries, parks, and recreational facilities. Reading contemporary literature contributes an academic perspective to our mission. A couple of books up there that I'm currently reading at the same time are Our Towns and Palaces for the People that really do make the point of how important it is to have gathering spaces in our community. So our presentation this evening will include a brief overview of each of our divisions, but more importantly and excitedly, look toward the future of the city library and parks development and recreation programming. We have exciting ideas to expand the city library, to continue to renovate our parks and update our master plans, and all the while embracing cutting-edge technology so that we are working more efficiently and we're adding convenience to all of you as you make use of these resources. So we did some reorganization in 2016, and that's what created the Community Services Department. It's composed of 3 divisions: our city library under the direction of City Librarian Angelica Fortin, the Parks and Facilities Maintenance Division, which is led by Frida Berman, our Maintenance Superintendent and Events Manager, and our Recreation Services Division, led by Linda Plesha, our Recreation Services Manager. Each of them will be describing the important points about their division, and there are many, and we will start with Angelica and the library.
I want to thank all of you for being here with us tonight. Libraries really are about building community through sharing information, and so today I get the honor of sharing with you our vision for the future. I have wanted to be a librarian since I was in 3rd grade, so this is a dream come true for me, and really it's because libraries are about democracy, and again, it's about building a place where we can gather and learn and continue to grow. So, before I talk to you about the future of the library, I wanted to give you some information about where we are today, and this will hopefully help build a little bit of context for you. So in our last fiscal year, we had over 150,000 visitors at our library, and we issued over 2,000 library cards to new users. Many people don't realize we actually have a study center on the north end of town. This is located across the street from the Georgia Brown Elementary School, right next door to Uptown Family Park. And there, 4 days a week, we offer homework help, access to computers, and more importantly, access to reading material to children during those critical after-school hours. We average about 43 plus kids per open afternoon. A total of 83, or about 84,000 last year. We have a long-standing tradition of partnering with our community to provide service during the economic recession, and now we're able to provide the level of service that we do and keep the wonderful hours that we have because of our volunteers. We have close to a little over 80 volunteers, almost 90, almost 100, and last year they logged over 14,000 hours. And actually, many of our library volunteers are in the audience today, so thank you for coming and being involved. We also benefit from two volunteer organizations, the Library Foundation and the Friends of the Library. The Library Foundation, they receive private donations, and then they use those funds to benefit the library for things like updated furnishings. We just recently were able to remodel the Library Study Center to make it more flexible, not only for the kids, but also Literacy for Life uses that center after hours as the adult literacy center in Paso. So now we have furnishings that are more appropriate for both groups. And also a lot of the technology we've been able to implement has been thanks to this group. The Friends of the Library run a 100% volunteer managed and operated gift shop in the library, books that are donated from the community, and also they purchase and resell materials tax-free. They are a 501c3, and all of those proceeds benefit the library. The super amazing fish tank that we have that kids absolutely love, that is maintained by the Friends of the Library. Access to some of our online resources, collections, and our programming, that's the Friends. Thank you, Friends. And actually, they do have a book sale coming up in October. There are bookmarks in the back, so please consider supporting the library. A lot of our programming, as I mentioned, is offered thanks to not only the Friends, but also the Foundation. The summer reading program we offer every year is 100% funded by the Foundation. Last year, at both of our sites, the library and the study center, we offered almost 500 free programs to the community and had over 11,000 attendees. Most of those, of course, are youth under the age of 18. Circulation, this is how we measure how successful our collections are doing. And it's interesting because although a lot of people have the impression that more people are reading electronic material than print, that's actually not what we see in libraries. Most of the material that we check out is physical, and our most popular collections are adult and youth fiction. That is followed, of course, by circulation of electronic material. It doesn't even make up half of what we circulate total. National trends, this is actually consistent. We saw a big spike in ebook usage and then it kind of evened out. And research indicates that people who read electronic material alone, it's only about 8% of readers. The internet, this is huge for the library. We all assume that everyone is connected. A lot of people are connected because they have their library. We have 38,000, almost 39,000 internet connections logged at the library last year. Of those, over 24,000 were people who were coming in to use our computers. So for example, a lot of people currently access the internet with their telephone, but what happens when they have to fill out a job application and or submit a resume? You can't really write your resume on your phone, so they come into the library to make sure that they can do that. We are seeing a trend and a change in libraries. A lot of people are actually bringing in their own devices and then connecting to our wireless network. Something that we've been working really hard at the last 2 years is integrating technologies. We're really playing catch up. There are technologies out there that libraries across the nation have been using that have proven to really improve user experience, streamline services, and just make the workflow much better for not only the patrons, but also for library staff. So an example of what we've been working with our IT department to accomplish in the last year, and thank you to our IT manager who has helped us spearhead a lot of this, he's here today. We've improved our Wi-Fi connectivity, which has been really great for the people who are bringing in their own devices. We now have self-service printing and, more importantly, wireless printing. So if you bring in your own laptop, you can print without having to get on a computer. You can actually print from home and then come pick up your prints at the library. You can check out the internet. We have wireless hotspots that can be taken home and you can connect devices from home. We actually had someone call today who lives quite a ways away, and this is the only way that they can get on the internet. RFID technology, this is radio frequency identification technology. This makes the check-in and check-out process much more efficient. And then also we have introduced programming, so kids can come in and learn how circuits work. We have ebook classes so adults can make use of our ebook collections. You'd be surprised how many older adults receive ebooks as gifts, but nobody tells them how to use them, so they come to us. All of this has been part of the 5-year strategic plan that Julie mentioned earlier. We're a little over a year in and we've already accomplished over 50% of our goals. One of those goals, of course, was technology. Another one of the goals was let's revisit a facilities master plan for the library. This is actually 25 years in the making, this particular goal. I'm not sure how many of you here know that when the library opened in 1995 in its new location, it was envisioned that it would be a 2-story facility. So currently where City Hall resides, it's supposed to be a library by the year 2010. So when the population reached at about 30,000 people, it was envisioned that City Hall would have a new building and then the library would expand upstairs. Of course, things happen that we cannot control. That includes the recession. And so that goal was put on hold. With the strategic plan, we were able to revisit that, taking into consideration things that have happened since then, how our community operates today, and what the build out of the community will be at about 45,000 people. The strategic plan, of course, was adopted in May of 2017, and in March of 2018, we were able to bring a concept plan to City Council, which was adopted unanimously. So we're really excited about that, and I'm very excited to share with you today what that concept looks like. Before I get into the vision for the future, just a couple of items that were identified when we completed this project and this study. So some of the needs that the library currently has is insufficient space for programming, underutilized features. So here we have these beautiful picture windows that overlook the park, but the book stacks are, I'm pointing at my screen over here, but the book stacks are lined up right against those windows. Underutilized spaces like this children's patio. How many of you knew we had that? It's usually not too many, yeah. Insufficient public spaces for collaboration and quiet study. Libraries have changed quite a bit. While people are still looking for respite from the noise and a quiet place to study, they're also looking for places to work together and collaborate. So here you can see our limited seating, group tables, and then single user tables. That's kind of it. Pretty much no teen space. We have one table with a little sign that we try to provide for teens. And overflowing shelves. So the items shelved up here, those are not actually shelved on or in shelves, they're on top of shelves. And inefficient workspaces. This is our library workroom. This is where all the magic happens. You can kind of see a staff member back here. So what was the solution? Really, it was creative use of space. As I get into talking about some of the visions for the future, just to let you know, the focus group that, the community focus group that assisted us with this process identified that things had in fact changed, and one thing that they didn't realize they always wanted was for City Hall and for the library to both retain their position at City Park and with a shared facility. I keep calling it the beacon of democracy in our community. You know, that's where not only people become informed, but that's where civics happen, that's where democracy happens. So that little patio that I mentioned that a lot of people don't realize we have actually becomes part of the library. That's the patio there now. We have very limited story time space, so we actually host 2 story times every Monday and Friday to accommodate the number of kids that want to come in. Now we have a built-in, or we will have a built-in story time stage, so we can accommodate all of those kids. In addition, the storytime room combines with the one study room we currently have to become a multi-purpose room that we can use for most of our library programs. This area currently houses our children's collection. By pushing it out in this direction, this becomes a teen space with a teen study room, collaborative space for teens, laptop bar. We have our reference desk here so that the staff and or volunteers that are managing this area can have a nice perspective so they can see what's happening in the entire area. This is a close-up of that teen space. So in this plan, City Hall maintains space upstairs. However, we're creatively using some of that space in order to accommodate some of the services that we need. So the lobby, the very nice tall lobby, actually gets cut in half. We retain the windows that are up there, so we have this really wonderful study area. So these are single-user study carrels overlooking the park. And then tucked inside are 2 study rooms for public use. And of course, there's a glass wall partition so that we can preserve the quiet. There will also be a reference room upstairs. I don't have a photo of that, but total we would have 3 study rooms upstairs for the public, which means we're going to kind of what I call a university model. The higher you go, the quieter it is. So this opens up all of the space along the windows for collaborative seating. So we actually will have 30% more study tables while being able to grow our collection by about 30% as well, moving some of those collections upstairs. So fiscal impact. So this is, expansion is a development impact fee project, right? So primarily funding would come from development impact fees. When the development impact fee study was completed in 2014, expansion for the library upstairs was estimated to be about $4.2 million. This particular concept comes in at $3.4 to $4.5 million. So where are we now? So currently, now that we have this wonderful approved library facilities master plan, we have to look at some of the needs of City Hall. We did take a look at those when we were developing this program or this concept, but it wasn't targeted towards the needs of City Hall. Essentially, we've discovered along the way that there was a way to retain the usage in the same facility. So now we have to figure out exactly how we can use that space the most efficiently. So we're working on that. And then also funding. So currently we have a little over $1.3 million collected in development impact fees for library expansion. And we do know that there is some funding that also exists for what would have one day been City Hall expansion. And so we need to determine if and how much of that we could potentially use for a shared use project like this. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Frida Berman. Thank you, Frida.
Thank you, Angelica. I am so proud to be here tonight to represent parks and park maintenance. Parks being our traditional gathering spot for our community, for our families, where we all make memories. I'm sure we all have remember when stories that happened in our city parks. I actually have 2. I couldn't decide on one. They both have to do with City Park. The first being when, and where's Dick McKinley? We shot fireworks off the City Hall roof over City Park. And the second, also in City Park, when we lit a giant bonfire to celebrate New Year's Eve. That was just great. So I'm sure you all have your own remember when stories based on your family and where you played sports or where you celebrated birthdays. I thought it would do us some good to go through the more than 120 acres of parks and open space and review what we have available. Obviously, City Park, the traditional image, the worldwide image of Paso Robles, donated to the community by the city's founders, Daniel and James Blackburn. Barney Schwartz Park, the best, preeminent sports facility in the North County, with 4 soccer fields, 4 softball fields, a fishing lake, and 2 playgrounds. The Dragon Park, Sherwood Forest, with our own fire-breathing, really mist-breathing dragon, 2 playgrounds, and its own sword in the stone. We have Uptown Family Park at the corner of 36th and Spring, 2 play areas, a community garden and amphitheater. Our newest refurbished park, Larry Moore Park in the Riverbank neighborhood. Centennial Park, home of recreation, with a gymnasium, amphitheater, playground, tennis courts, pickleball courts, park course, and of course, the summer favorite, the pool. Our sports park, Sherwood Park, actually soccer fields, softball fields, tennis courts, and I bet you don't know there are sand volleyball courts there as well. Pioneer Park, important place for baseball, also our skate park and a basketball court. And the traditional home of baseball, Robbins Field, historical actually, it was the spring training home of the Pittsburgh Pirates from 1924 to 1934. Municipal pool, another very old and well-used year-round facility that also includes an indoor therapy pool. And we also have 4 neighborhood parks. Mandela Park off of Fairview on the west side, Oak Creek Park bordering Cedarwood, Royal Oak Meadows at Parkview and Airport, and Turtle Creek Park in the Sierra Bonita neighborhood. I love trees. I really love trees, and we have 15,000 trees that we're responsible for the care and feeding of. For the past couple years, we've used a web-based program called Arbor Access, where we go through and inventory all the trees based on their variety and their condition. We've inventoried almost 5,000 trees so far, and we develop our work plans on how to care for those trees based on that inventory. What you're seeing here are just the trees downtown. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the other parts of community service maintenance. So we also are responsible for 180,000 square feet of facility maintenance with 4 full-time staff people. We're implementing also a very computerized preventative maintenance program that will track our deferred and preventative maintenance and allow us to schedule everything very efficiently. We take care of the landscape and lighting district, 170 acres of parkways and medians. We do weed abatement on 178 acres of open space. We have nearly 12 miles of trails. And as was mentioned earlier, we coordinate the support of many, many large community events. Pioneer Day, which is coming up on October 13th. Christmas parade, Halloween downtown, wine festival. We close streets, we build venues, we clean bathrooms, everything we can do to help make those events a success in the city. So just to get back to parks and trees, we have 8 full-time parks employees maintaining more than 120 acres of parks, more than 15,000 trees, with a budget of $2.3 million. But enough about that. What's going on? What have we accomplished? What have we celebrated in the past couple years? Because we have been celebrating a lot of really fantastic additions to the community, the first being City Park. When we first started this project, which was a state of California funded project, a grant, and we took down the playground and we put up a fence, little eyes and little hands, and we're peering through the fence, trying to figure out what we were doing. And when we took that fence down, and since we took that fence down, that park has been filled almost 24 hours a day with kids, with families, making those memories. That project didn't just include the playground, it was in improving electrical, improving irrigation, putting up monuments on 12th Street, repainting the gazebo. A great, great project. Barney Schwartz Park, lower playground, had been there since the beginning. It really had reached the end of its useful life. Thanks to the generosity of the Rec Foundation, Recreation Enhances Community, a local nonprofit fundraising organization, and their Dale Schwartz Memorial Endowment, we were able to replace the lower playground at Barney Schwartz Park with a state-of-the-art playground. I don't know how many of you remember that weed-filled lot at 36 and Spring. That weed-filled lot got transformed again, another estate grant, into Uptown Family Park. A real addition, positive addition to the community with 2 play areas, an amphitheater, and a community garden. Poor Larry Moore Park. Larry Moore Park in the Riverbank neighborhood needed a lot of love, and just this past summer, we were able to not only provide a new playground, but totally refurbish the restroom there. So what about the future? We have a lot of things going on in the next couple years. Right now, we are in the middle of the Sherwood Park Master Plan process. It's really a Sherwood Park area master plan process. It's all the recreational areas between Sherwood Park, Sherwood Forest, Oak Creek Park, and the dog park. In fact, last night we had number 2 of 4 total meetings where the community can give their input on what they want to see in this area for the future, really developing a roadmap of real projects that the city will tackle and construct. There's been a lot of ideas. There were some really great ideas last night. The next meeting will be in December for the community. And you know, it's really a balance between sports and learning and gathering spaces and how we can make all those things work as one cohesive whole. Dave?
What'd you do?
It's not working. Thank you.
It's just a pause for effect.
These are just some of the ideas that were originally proposed and are still on the discussion table. But even better, we are now in the construction document phase of replacing the restroom at Sherwood Park, right on Creston Road, with a state-of-the-art prefabricated restroom. You should see it right after the first of the year, and the beauty of this prefab building is that once the master plan process is complete, we will be able to move that restroom where the master plan identifies it would be best situated. Unfortunately, when we constructed Uptown Family Park, we weren't able to construct shade structures over the playground or the amphitheater. Thanks to the city and our most recent mayor's fundraiser, we are now in final design to install both those things. And again, you'll see that before next summer. I swear I'm just pressing the button. Isn't this awesome? This is the upper playground at Barney Schwartz Park. Again, thanks to the generosity of Rec Foundation, we are working on designs to install that new playground that you see there on the right. There's nothing like that around to replace the current playground. Whoops. That's me. Finally, looking farther into the future with the pending sale of a portion of Pioneer Park to the Paso Robles Event Center, including the baseball field, it's really important that we not only maintain the number of playing fields we have for youth, but also add to that inventory. Larry Moore Park is a great place to do that. And this is just a preliminary concept drawing, concept design, showing 2 baseball fields and additional off-street parking as well as other amenities. This process will go forward once that sale is complete. Finally, you are our eyes and ears out there. You are in the parks and on the trails and in our city facilities all the time. We rely on you to report so that our maintenance staff can respond. Report a concern, go to the city website. We really want to hear from you, and we will provide you updates of what progress we've made on any issues you identify. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Linda Plecha.
Thank you, Frida, and thank you to all of you for being here tonight for the final night of our Paso Talks presentations and the very final speaker of the whole presentation, I guess. I'm Linda Plecha, Recreation Services Manager, and it is my pleasure to be here this evening and speak to you about all the exciting things that are happening in recreation. We're currently preparing to create our Parks, Recreation, and Events Strategic Master Plan, and we're really looking forward to what we're going to be doing in the future here. In order to develop our vision, I just realized I don't have the clicker.
Just look at me.
Oh, I just point? Okay, there we go. In order to develop our vision, it's helpful to begin with our mission. There it is, to create a better community through people, programs, places, and experiences. Communities grow stronger when citizens do a variety of things together, giving them chances to connect with others, build trust, and get involved as we begin work on, As we begin work on the strategic plan, I'll get it. There we go. We'll figure this out. Value-based metrics will be especially important. Utilizing only oh, sorry, that wasn't a point. Thank you. Utilizing only 3% of the general fund. This is going to be great. With just under 6 full-time staff, we presented over 5,500 programs, processed 4,000 reservations, and provided services for over 325,000 customers last year. We generated $420,000 in direct revenues, and we generated significant indirect revenues from attendance at tournaments, concerts, and special events. This is terrible. We have over 230 classes. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Might be my new best friend. We have over 230 classes, camps, and leagues featured in our fall recreation guide. We offer classes for newborns and their grown-ups, youth, yes, preteens and teenagers. Check out the smiles. Adults working hard and playing hard. And seniors. No matter what your age or areas of interest, we like to think that we've got a class for almost everyone. Okay, I'm starting to trust it, I think. Oh, this way. Our aquatics programs are offered 12 months a year at the municipal pool, and a variety of seasonal programs featuring lessons and public swim are provided at both pools during the summer months. In addition to improving the quality of life in our community, our classes benefit economic vitality by supporting the livelihood of our contract instructors. Our recreation guide is mailed quarterly in your city water bill, and you can register for any of our classes by visiting us at our Centennial Park registration desk, and there's Jesusita. You can also view our recreation guide and register for classes on our recreation homepage at prcity.com/recreation. From milestone birthdays to tournament victories, making memories in parks is an American tradition. On average, we process 340 reservations per month for use of our 4 meeting rooms, 9 picnic areas, and 14 sports fields. And we're looking forward to providing online facility reservations by the end of this fiscal year. We are honored to host community events designed to bring people together to celebrate healthy living, the arts, local history, the environment, cultural diversity, and the unique character of Paso Robles. And my favorite place to be on Thursdays during the summer is at our concerts in the park. I've lost my notes. There it is, Concerts in the Park. Sponsored by the Rec Foundation, this year we hosted 10 concerts for more than 25,000 guests and raised over $10,000 for youth recreation scholarships. Yeah. Our work with the Rec Foundation is especially rewarding, supporting their mission to create enhanced programs, places, and open spaces, including the recent renovation of Centennial Pool, the City Park Playground, improvements at Barney Schwartz Park, and the new shade structures coming soon to the Uptown Family Park. I'm trying. Oh, did you do it or did I do it? Collaborations, thank you. We collaborate with several organizations to enhance recreation services in our community. Senior Volunteer Services administers programs at the Senior Center, and the YMCA provides after-school care and a youth basketball program at Centennial Park. We work with the Paso Robles Youth Sports Council and our advisory groups to ensure we are meeting the needs of the community by offering a variety of high-quality programs and engaging services. All of our advisory meetings are open to the public, and the agendas and meeting schedules are posted on the city website. Just a minute. There we go. The next step in preparing for the future of recreation is to complete a Parks, Recreation, and Events Strategic Master Plan in cooperation with the Parks Division. The process will help us identify goals, objectives, and recommendations to ensure that we continue to fulfill the mission of the Community Services Department in providing safe and well-maintained parks and life-enriching recreation programming. Throughout the planning process, we will host workshops and conduct surveys to ensure community members and stakeholders have opportunities to provide input. Inventory and assessment includes a comprehensive review of the facilities, programs, and services currently available and planned for our community, including active parks and recreation facilities, facility options in new developments, and the aquatics complex scheduled to open on the high school campus. Once we have gathered community input and completed our reports, we'll be prepared to establish priorities and identify needs to meet the current and future interests of our community. We are already well aware of the need for more fields and courts to accommodate youth and adult play. Recommendations and strategies will include both near-term and longer-term projects and goals, and possibilities include a mobile recreation unit providing active play in multiple parks, active multi-purpose parks and fields, and coordinating aquatics programming with the school district as they transition programming away from the municipal pool site. And finally, the master plan document will provide a framework and tools to guide the department's decision-making, planning efforts, and partnership decisions to bring our vision to fruition. Once we have prepared the plan, as we did with the library, we'll seek City Council endorsement, and we look forward to working with all of you and the community to help set and prioritize our goals for the coming years. Thank you so much, and with that, I'll turn it back to Julie Dolan.
I love this quote. We need to get all this stuff done, right? But we've just viewed so many compelling images of families, of our neighbors, of young and old gathering, making connections. It strikes at the heart of all of us, at the heart of our community. That's what community services is. That's the heart of our community. This is why we live here. This is what makes our life meaningful. And so yes, we have been achieving lots of wonderful things and many of our goals, and we've set some really wonderful goals, and we see library expansion on the horizon. But the most crucial component in achieving all of this is all of you and all of us. It's all of us in the community. And so we really do encourage you to be a part of this. Be active participants in revitalizing our social infrastructure, viewing the revitalization of our library, our parks, our recreation programming with the same urgency that you afford to road repair. It's all important. It's all a part of building community. All are vital, and we know we can do it because we're Paso Roblens. Thank you.